What if I told you one of the most iconic hotels in the world exists in both Miami and Las Vegas, but they feel completely different depending on where you stay? This is the same place tied to legends like Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr., featured in films like Goldfinger, part of the cultural backdrop behind Scarface, embedded in Miami's culture with artists like Pitbull, and still driving nightlife today with names like David Guetta, John Summit, and Dom Dalla. But the experience between the two is completely different, and most people don't realize it until after they book. This is Fontainebleau Miami versus Fontainebleau Las Vegas, and which one actually makes sense for your trip. Let's start with first impressions, because this is where the difference hits immediately. In Miami, you walk in and everything opens up. Ocean, pools, space. It feels like a true resort. You're there to stay. In Vegas, it's the opposite. You walk in and it pulls you inward. It's vertical, structured, built into the strip. You're not settling in. You're moving through it. Both are luxurious, but they feel completely different the second you arrive. Now here's where things really start to separate. Miami is the destination. You go there, and that's your entire trip. Everything is built around staying in one place. Beach, pools, restaurants, nightlife, all right there. In Vegas, it's the opposite. You're not going to Fontainebleau. You're going to Las Vegas, and Fontainebleau is just one stop. So instead of settling in, you're moving from hotel to hotel, place to place, and that shift changes everything. When it comes to choosing between the two resorts, it comes down to how you want to use the location. In Miami, you can stay on property and have a full resort experience. But you're also right by South Beach, Ocean Drive. Everything is easy to get to, more or less. So you have both options. In Vegas, it's different. You can stay inside Fontainebleau, and there's a lot there. But if you want the rest of the strip, you're going to have to walk a fair amount. It's not as central as, like, for example, Flamingo. And that changes how often you leave the property. So one gives you flexibility. The other depends more on how you plan your time. Let's talk about the arrival experience, because this is where you feel the difference right away. In Miami, you arrive into the property. It opens up around you. You see the pools, the ocean, people already there. It feels like you've stepped into your destination. Vintage, right? In Vegas, it's different. You arrive under the building. It's vertical, structured. Everything pulls you inside. You're not arriving into a resort. You're entering this big, massive building, and you feel that immediately, like as if you're going to the airport. Let's talk about the layout and design, because this is where the two feel completely different once you are inside. In Miami, the property is spread out and layered across the ground. You're walking between pools, restaurants, outdoor spaces, like as if you're James Bond in that movie. Everything connects. You feel the size because you're moving through it. In Vegas, everything is built upwards, stacked. You're moving through elevators, corridors, escalators, levels. It's more contained, it's more structured. Everything is inside the building. And that carries over into the rooms too, because in Miami, rooms feel lighter, more open, more connected to the outside. In Vegas, rooms feel more controlled, more design-focused, more about the interior experiences. So the space changes how you move, in essence, and that changes how the hotel actually feels on the inside. Let's talk about how the experience actually feels over time, because this is what you notice after a few hours only. In Miami, you can stay in one place and it feels complete. You're not checking your phone. You're not thinking about what's next. You just stay where you are. In Vegas, it's different. Even when you're enjoying something, whether you're at the nightclub, or at the bars, drinking a cocktail, you're aware there's more happening. Other places, other options, other things to do. So you end up leaving even when you don't need to. That's what makes the experience feel completely different without anything actually being wrong. Let's talk about day versus night experiences because this is where the pattern really shows. In Miami, the day and night feel connected. You go from the pool to dinner to nightlife without a full reset. It's the same energy, just building upon itself. In Vegas, it's different. The day and night feel separate. Daytime is slower. People are resting, settling, and then at night, everything spikes. The energy jumps, fast pace, all at once. Basically, Miami flows, Vegas flips. Let's talk about common booking mistakes because this is where people quietly get it wrong. In Miami, the mistake is underbooking your time on the property. People plan a full itinerary, restaurants, things to do, and then they realize they don't actually want to leave. In Vegas, it's the opposite. The mistake is overestimating how much time you'll spend at the hotel. You'll think you'll stay long and use everything, but you end up moving around the Strip and Fremont Street most of the time. The other mistake is location. In Miami, it's simple. You're already where you need to be, by the beach in mid-beach, Miami. In Vegas, you're at the north end of the Strip, between Sahara and Wynn. And if you don't plan for that, it changes how often you move and how you move. You might end up having to take more ride shares than you want. So it's not about which one is better. It's about how you're actually going to use the property and the location. Let's talk about expectations versus reality because this is where people get caught off guard. In Miami, people expect it to feel just like another beachfront hotel, but it ends up feeling like a full resort you don't really need to leave, especially since the tourist hotspots, like Little Havana, are pretty far away. In Vegas, people expect it to feel like it's in the middle of everything, like Flamingo or the Bellagio, but it's not. It's more removed than people think. It's on the north end of the Strip, so getting around between parts is often a little bit more challenging, but at the same time is often more feasible thanks to the great connections the property has with ride shares and automated vehicles now in Vegas. So both meet expectations, just not in the way people assume. But the resort makes sure that you have everything to your availability to be able to go to and from your destinations. When it comes to shopping, these two places couldn't be any more different. In Miami, it's very boutique oriented, the stores that are there. High end, but boutique. In Vegas, they are also high end as well, but they're more full retail shop promenade, like a mall, you could say. So in Miami, the property carries more of the experience, while in Vegas, the location controls more of the experience. Let's talk about food, because this is where the experience starts to separate in a way most people don't expect. In Miami, meals slow you down, you're sitting longer, you're not rushing, the setting actually matters. It's an essential part of why you are there. In Vegas, it flips. Food is everywhere. It's designed for movement. You're eating between things, before something, after something. Even when it's high end, it still feels like a part of a bigger rotation. Hence the food hall. And both resorts have the Fontainebleau staple, the bakery. Quick, easy, consistent. That's one of the few things that actually feels the same. So in Miami, food anchors your day. In Vegas, food fits around your day. Let's talk about the pools because this is probably one of the most iconic amenities of this resort because this is where you feel the difference and you just don't see it. In Miami, the pool is where your stay not only slows down, but you also get there and you stay, you relax, you're not thinking about what's next. It's part beach, part social, part just doing nothing, lounging around, if you will. In Vegas, it's the opposite. The pool competes with everything. You got day clubs called Live Beach. You have the restaurants all throughout the promenade. And also, it's stacked one on top of the other when it comes to the spas, the gym, you name it. And that's one thing that separates it from the more horizontally oriented Fontainebleau in Miami. So even when you're at the pool, you're not fully there. You think about where you're going to go next. So in Miami, the pool holds your day. In Vegas, the pool has to fight for your time. Now let's talk about nightlife because you can't talk about Fontainebleau without mentioning the poster child resort of all nightlife because this is where difference hits the hardest. In Miami, the nightlife settles in. You pick a place and you stay there. It's less about bouncing around, more about being in one environment. The night builds around that. In Vegas, the night pulls you in. There's always somewhere else to go, another bar, another club, another property. So instead of settling in, you keep moving, and the night never really locks into one place. Both resorts have Live nightclub. And then there's the casino. In Vegas, it's constant. You don't go to it, you move through it all night. In Miami, that element just isn't there. So in Miami, the night deepens. In Vegas, the night keeps pulling you forward, whether it is to the speakeasies or the cigar lounges. Well, both of them have those to offer. So after a long night of partying, now let's talk about recovery because this is where the pace difference shows up. In Miami, recovery blends into your day. You don't plan it, you just ease into it. It feels natural to slow down. In Vegas, it's intentional. You go to reset and then you're back out. It's something you carve out time for. And what's great is that at both locations, famous artists, famous people that are staying at the resorts will often be seen at these amenities. So in Miami, recovery happens without thinking. In Vegas, recovery is something you have to choose. Now for business travelers, because this is where Fontainebleau really stands out from the rest of the competition. In Miami, it's hard to stay focused because you're in a resort environment, but at the same time, you're in a world-class business city. So beach, pool, distraction, subtropical environment will intermingle and match with corporations, small businesses, and practical individuals looking to make deals and take their businesses to the next level. In Vegas, it's more efficient. Everything's designed for movement, meetings, events. Heck, it's right next to the Vegas Convention Center. So a 550,000 square foot amount of space within the resort property isn't just enough. You can actually go across the sky bridge or tunnel to connect with the convention center in Vegas. So that way you have the most convenience at your hand. While in Miami, the convention center is far, but luckily everyone comes to the Fontainebleau. So in essence, Miami works to compete with the experience, and Vegas moves with the experience. Now let's talk about when you should go, because this actually overlaps quite a bit more than most people would think. In Miami, if the weather isn't right, everything starts to fall apart. Too hot, humid, crowded, and suddenly the beach, the pools, the whole outdoors don't feel like right to be outside. And that's a problem because that's where you are and that's what attracts the crowd. But being South Florida, of course, nothing is perfect. Hurricanes can come. Of course, humidity can hit its all-time high, and rain can just downpour endlessly, or do the Florida thing, which is rain, sunshine, rain, sunshine, rain. On the other hand, you have Vegas, desert. It's going to be 100 degrees often, or 40 degrees centigrade, and it's going to be sunny most of the time, so you're going to want to bring your sunscreen, and also in Miami, but it's more the case in Las Vegas. And on top of that, it gets pretty cold too in the winter, often 30 degrees or 40 degrees if it gets to. And unfortunately, they do close the pools more often in Vegas than they do in Miami, but luckily they are heated. And oftentimes, Fontainebleau at both locations is one of the few resorts that have night swimming available, which is a rarity in most places, especially in Vegas. So when it comes to saving money, definitely the low season is better. For Miami, that would be around the summer, May to October, November, and hurricane season as well. Extends into November. While in Las Vegas, the low season, that's also more affordable, would be around May to October. And believe me, it gets really hot in October, early October as well. However, when it comes to going when it's more comfortable, but the prices are higher, you would want to go to Miami from December to March. But be careful for the spring breakers because they will take up the spaces and the prices will go skyrocket. So I'd say just before March is the best time. But it can get a little cool. And then for Las Vegas, I would suggest you would to go around March, maybe February. This year in 2026, it's been particularly warmer out west, but I would say up to May because May it starts to become more 100 degrees, and then it'll be like that essentially all throughout the summer till October. Then the second half of October is like the sweet spot because as soon as it hits November, believe me, temperatures drop significantly into the 60s and then 50 degrees Fahrenheit, even like, or 10 degrees Celsius. So bundle up. In essence, Miami, bad timing changes the experience. In Vegas, bad timing changes how you navigate the experience. Now let's talk about what you're actually paying for because this is where people make the wrong choices. In Miami, you're paying for the environment, the beach, the space, the ability to stay in one place, and not feel like you're missing anything. You're paying for a complete experience without needing to leave. In Vegas, you're paying for positioning. You're on the strip, connected to everything, with options all around you. But that also means the experience isn't contained. You have to go out and build it. And for both locations, I would say you're also paying for the brand too. And it comes with being a 5-star hotel. The name is synonymous with royalty, hence the name Fontainebleau. It's French for royal. So in Vegas, you are getting the same thing, but with a Vegas twist. While in Miami, you're getting the OG vintage vibes. So in Miami, you're paying for the experience to come to you. In Vegas, you're paying to go to find the experience. You can't go wrong with either, but it will cost you for either. But when it comes to the prices, believe me, both of them are equally expensive. You're not going to save much from going one to the other. Maybe as of lately, because of Vegas being slower lately, you might have it cheaper and a better deal at the Vegas location than Miami. But the Miami location's a little more dated and has a little bit more complaints per se about the cleanliness of the rooms. So you got to balance out the pros and cons and see which one you prefer. At the end of the day, when you look to compare each of the locations, They have just as many pros as they have cons for both of them. You just got to find out which cons you are going to accept on your trip. So at the end of the day, these aren't two versions of the same hotel or resort. They're just two resorts that share the same name. If you want something contained where everything comes to you, where you can settle in and be a beach bum essentially, Miami is the right choice. If you want variety, it's fast paced, gambling, Vegas is more for you. And if you choose expecting them to feel the same, that's where people get it wrong. So if there had to be one takeaway from this video, it would be this, is that one versus the other, they are two different builds. But at the end of the day, you pick the wrong one, you will feel it immediately. So choose wisely. Don't just go off the name as if you think they're going to be the same. Choose based on how you actually want to spend your time, because that's the difference between a good trip and the right one. If you made it this far, this actually is my 200th YouTube video. Appreciate you being here. Like and subscribe. Comment below. Have you been to either of these resorts? Or if not, check them out. And if you have been and would prefer to go to others, mention them, and I will gladly do a future video about them in the future. Thank you for being here, and as always, Coffee Travels signing out. Let's travel together and explore this amazing world and see what it has to offer.